Listen to me closely. You have been sold a story. It is a story you heard from your parents, your teachers, and your boss. It goes like this. Keep your head down, work hard, pay your taxes, do the right thing, and when you are done, you will be taken care of. That is the deal. That is the American dream. You trade 40 years of sweat for 20 years of peace. But I am here to tell you something that might make you angry, and it should. That deal is broken. The handshake agreement between you and the future has been cancelled. And the terrifying part is, nobody sent you the memo. Look at your bank account right now. Look at your life. You are grinding. You are hustling. You are trying to be the provider. You want to secure a future for yourself and your family, but you are running on a treadmill that is being sped up by forces you can't see. We are walking into the biggest financial storm in human history, and most men are walking into it blindfolded. This isn't about politics. This isn't about left or right. This is about cold, hard math. The numbers in the system simply do not add up anymore. If you don't wake up to this reality today, you are going to be the victim of it tomorrow. But if you do wake up, if you understand the machine, you can protect yourself. You can build a fortress around your family while everyone else is getting washed away. We are DreaMeta Visual Studio, and we are here to show you the math behind the madness. And right now, that math is screaming at us. Consider this video your briefing. It is strictly for informative and educational purposes. We built this channel for everyone out there who is currently struggling to make sense of their money and looking for a way out. Our mission is simple: to give you the knowledge and the confidence you need to build a better financial future for yourself and your family. So, if you want to arm yourself against the storm, hit that subscribe button. Every Thursday, we upload a new deep dive into the current financial issues that actually impact your life. Welcome to the retirement paradox. Let's get to work. Let's start with a simple question. Why is everything getting harder? Why does it feel like your grandfather could buy a house and support a family on one salary, retire at 65 with a gold watch, and be fine? But you are working 2 jobs and worrying about the price of eggs. To understand your wallet today, we have to look at a playground in South Korea. Picture it: a swing set, a slide. But there is one thing missing: children. There are no kids. This isn't just a sad scene. It is the economic equivalent of a nuclear bomb. Here is the first number I want you to memorize: 16 to 1. Go back to 1950. The world was built like a sturdy pyramid. You had a massive base of young workers at the bottom and a tiny tip of retired people at the top. In the United States, in 1950, there were 16.5 workers paying taxes for every 1 retiree collecting Social Security. Think about that like a dinner bill. Imagine you go out to dinner with your grandfather. The bill comes. There is 1 grandfather eating, and there are 16 of you young guys standing there to split his tab. Is that expensive for you? No, it's cheap. It's pocket change. You throw in a few bucks, Grandpa eats like a king, and everyone goes home happy. That was the golden age of retirement. It was easy money. Now, let's look at today. Here is the second number I want you to remember: 2.8 to 1. That ratio has collapsed. We don't have 16 guys paying the bill anymore. We have less than 3. So now, the same grandfather is eating dinner, but there are only 3 of you to split the check. Suddenly, that bill isn't pocket change. It hurts. It takes a chunk out of your paycheck. By the time you retire,
that number might be down to 2. 2 workers carrying 1 retiree. In Germany, it's already happening. They call it the dependency ratio. I call it the heavy lift. Imagine carrying a full-grown man on your back while you try to climb a mountain. That is what the economy is asking the young generation to do. Why did this happen? 2 reasons. 1, we stopped having babies. We aren't replacing the workers. And 2, we pulled off a miracle. We started living longer, much longer. This leads us to a specific date you need to burn into your brain. 2033. That is the cliff. In the United States, that is the year the Social Security Trust Fund runs out of extra money. It goes dry. Now, don't panic. That doesn't mean the checks stop completely, but it means the system can only pay out what it collects in taxes that year. And remember, there are only 3 guys paying the bill. So the law says that when the clock strikes midnight in 2033, every check gets cut automatically. By how much? 23%. Imagine waking up tomorrow morning. You look at your bank account. Your rent has gone up 23%. Your grocery bill is up 23%. And your paycheck is down 23%. That is a catastrophe. That is the difference between buying medicine or buying food. And that is facing 70 million Americans if we don't fix this. So when I say the deal is broken, I'm not being dramatic. I'm just reading the spreadsheet.
Now, let's bring this closer to home. Let's talk about your savings. There is a massive lie that has been told to men of our generation. The lie is that your 401k is a retirement plan. It is not a retirement plan. It is a savings account with tax breaks, and there is a huge difference. Let's go back to 1975. Let's talk about your dad or your granddad again. In 1975, if you had a good job, you had a pension. This is also called a defined benefit. Think of a pension like flying on a commercial airliner. Your company is the pilot. You are the passenger. You buy a ticket, which is your loyalty and hard work. You get on the plane, sit in coach, drink your soda, and relax. You don't need to know how to fly the plane. You don't need to know about wind speed or fuel levels. That is the company's problem. If the engine stalls, the company fixes it. If there is a storm, the professional pilot navigates it. Your only job is to stay in your seat until you land safely at retirement airport. That was a good deal. But around the 1980s, corporations did the math. They realized, wait a minute, flying these planes is expensive, fuel is expensive, and these passengers are living too long. We have to pay them for 30 years after they stop working? That's costing us a fortune. So they came up with a new idea, the 401k, or the defined contribution. They landed the plane. They kicked all the passengers out. They pointed to a tiny single-seat Cessna on the runway, a little propeller plane. They handed you the keys and a manual on how to fly and said, "Good luck, buddy. You fly it yourself." That is what the 401k is. They transferred all the risk onto you. You have to figure out how much fuel to put in. That's your savings rate. You have to figure out the flight path. That's your asset allocation. And if you fly into a storm, like a market crash, or if you run out of fuel before you land, meaning you live too long, you crash, and nobody is coming to save you. This is called the Great Risk Shift. They took the burden off the massive corporations and government, and they dropped it squarely on your shoulders. And here is the problem. You aren't a pilot. You are a guy with a job, a family, and hobbies. You don't have time to study the stock market every day. You don't know how to hedge against inflation volatility. So what happens? We crash. Here is the number that proves it: $40,000. That is the median retirement savings for a Generation X household in America, the generation that is about to retire. $40,000. Do the math with me. If you retire at 65 and you spend a very modest $40,000 a year to live, that savings lasts you exactly 1 year. 1 year of freedom. Then what? You are on your own. And it gets worse, because even when we try to fly the plane, we sabotage ourselves. We call it leakage. Let's say you change jobs. You have $5,000 in your 401k. It's a hassle to move it. You see that button that says Cash Out. You think, man, I could really use a new truck, or I need to pay off that credit card. So you click the button. You take the money. You pay the penalty. You pay the taxes, and you buy the truck. You just drove your future off a cliff. In one single year, Americans drained $92.4 billion out of their retirement accounts early. That is billions of dollars that will never grow, never compound, never be there when you are 80 and need to pay for a nurse. We are flying planes with holes in the fuel tank, and we are wondering why the engine is sputtering. Now I'm speaking to the men here, the providers. Maybe you think, I'm tough, I'll figure it out, I'll work until I drop. But what about your wife? What about your daughter? What about your mother? The system is rigged against them in a way that should make your blood boil. The retirement system was built by men for men in the 1950s. It assumes you work a straight line from age 20 to age 65. No breaks, no gaps. But that is not how women's lives work. Women are the caregivers. When a baby is born, who usually steps back? Mom. When your own mother gets sick and needs help, who usually steps in? Your wife. She takes time out of the workforce to care for the people you love, and the system punishes her for it. Every time she steps out, her earnings stop. Her 401k contributions drop to zero. Her Social Security record shows a big fat 0. We call this the motherhood penalty. But it's not just a penalty, it's a multiplier. Let's say she misses out on a promotion because she was on maternity leave. That lowers her salary for the rest of her life. A lower salary means lower savings. Lower savings means less compound interest. In France, the gap between what men and women earn in salary is about 15%. That's bad. But the gap in their pensions, the money they have to live on when they are old, it is double that. We are sending the women we love into an obstacle course where the floor falls out from under them. If you are a husband, you need to know this. You need to save more to cover that gap. You need to understand that her time off to raise your kids is actually costing the family hundreds of thousands of dollars in future wealth. This isn't about fairness, it's about survival. Women live longer than men. Statistically, your wife will outlive you. Do you want her to spend those last 10 years in poverty? Because right now, women are 50% more likely than men to be poor in old age. That is the reality. Let's talk about the hustle. We live in the gig economy. Uber, DoorDash, freelancing, Upwork. It's freedom, right? Be your own boss. I see a lot of guys doing this, driving on the weekends, coding on the side. It feels like you are hacking the system. But here is the truth. The gig economy is a trap. It is a trap because it stripped away the only safety net you had left. When you have a job, a W-2 job, your employer has to pay into Social Security for you. They usually offer a 401k match. That is free money. When you are a gig worker, you get none of that. 36% of the American workforce is now independent.
That's more than 1 out of every 3 guys. If you are in that 36%, you are riding a motorcycle without a helmet. There is no employer match. There is no health insurance. There is no paid sick leave. And let's be honest, if you make $1,000 driving Uber this week, are you going to take 15% of that and put it into a Roth IRA? Probably not. You have rent to pay. You have gas to buy. So you spend it. You survive today, but you are starving your tomorrow. We are watching a slow-motion car crash where millions of men are going to hit age 65 with 0 assets. No house, no pension, no savings, just a worn-out car and a bad back. If you are hustling in the gig economy, you have to be twice as disciplined as the guy in the cubicle. You have to be your own CFO because nobody else is looking out for you.
It gets worse. Not only is your 401k risky, and not only is the gig economy a trap, but the government itself has been lying to you. While politicians scream on TV about culture wars, they are hiding a disaster in the basement. Let's talk about Illinois, but it could be Kentucky, or New Jersey, or Connecticut. We call these the Sinkhole States. Decades ago, politicians made promises to public workers, firefighters, teachers, cops. They said, "You serve us, we will pay you a pension." But they didn't put the money in the bank. They spent it. They used your pension money to build stadiums or cut taxes to get re-elected. Now the bill is due. Illinois is missing $201 billion. Let me put that number in perspective for you. That is a debt of $15,804 for every single man, woman, and child in the state. If you live in Illinois, you were born with a $15,000 mortgage strapped to your back that you didn't sign for. And how does the state pay for it? They raise your taxes. Your property taxes go up. Your sales tax goes up. But here is the kick in the teeth. That extra tax money doesn't go to fix the potholes in your street. It doesn't go to better schools for your kids. It goes to pay for the mistakes of the past. It goes to pay the pension of a guy who retired 10 years ago. This is a death spiral. Taxes go up, services go down. People leave the state. The tax base shrinks, so taxes go up again. You need to know where you live. You need to look at your state's balance sheet. Because if you are building your dream house on a sinkhole, it doesn't matter how hard you work. The ground is going to swallow you up. Look at what winners do. So, we are broke. We are aging. The system is rigged. The states are drowning. Is that it? Should we just give up? Hell no. Because there are places in the world where the math does work. There are countries that looked at this exact same problem and fixed it. Let's look at the winners. First, look at Australia. Walk into a coffee shop in Sydney. Look at the barista. She is young. She isn't rich. But every time she gets paid, 11.5% of her salary goes into a private investment account. Automatically. It is mandatory. Her boss has to pay it. She cannot opt out. She cannot touch it to buy a truck. They call it superannuation. Because of this simple rule, forced savings, Australia has a pool of retirement cash worth $3.9 trillion. They have pre-funded their future. They forced their citizens to become wealthy. Now look at the Netherlands. They have the best pension system in the world. Why? Because they took the politics out of it. They have a shock absorber. In America, raising the retirement age is political suicide. Nobody wants to vote for it. So we do nothing, and the system crashes. In the Netherlands, they have an automatic link. If life expectancy goes up by a year, the retirement age goes up automatically.
No vote, no argument. It just happens. They link the promise to reality. They are the adults in the room. We are the children playing in a casino. We can fix this, but we have to have the guts to do what they did. We have to force ourselves to save.
There is one more enemy you need to fight, and this one is invisible. Inflation. You think inflation is when the price of gas goes up or the price of a burger. But when you get old, your personal inflation rate changes. You don't buy a lot of gas. You don't buy a lot of burgers. You buy healthcare. And the price of healthcare is skyrocketing faster than anything else. We call this the silver tsunami. You can save for 40 years. You can have $1 million in the bank. You can feel like a king. And then one illness hits, one stroke, one battle with cancer, and the meter starts running. Long-term care, nursing homes, prescription drugs. That $1 million can vanish in 5 years. 73% of investors say inflation is killing their retirement dreams. They are right to be scared. A nest egg is fragile. One squeeze from the medical system and it cracks. So, as a man, you aren't just saving for retirement. You are saving for a war against your own biology. You need a war chest. Okay, deep breath. I have given you the bad news. The math is brutal. The system is broken. But remember what I said at the start? The outcome is a choice. You are not helpless. You are not a victim. You are a player in this game, and now you know the rules. So what do you do? How do you win? Step 1. Be the pilot. Stop treating your 401k like a side project. It is the engine of your life. Max it out. If your company offers a match and you aren't taking it, you are literally throwing free money in the trash. Take the match. Step 2. Fight the leakage. If you change jobs, do not touch that money. Pretend it doesn't exist. Roll it over. Let it grow. If you killed the compound interest now, you kill your freedom later. Step 3. Protect your team. Look at your wife. Look at your family. Understand the gaps in their coverage. You need to save extra to cover the motherhood penalty. You are the CFO of your household. Plan for her longevity, not just yours. Step 4. Vote for reality. We need big changes. We need auto-enrollment, where everyone saves automatically. We need portable benefits, so the gig worker has a safety net. We need to fix Social Security by raising the cap on high earners. But until the government fixes it, you have to fix it for yourself. We are moving into a new world, the multi-stage career. The idea that you stop working at 65 and sit on a porch for 30 years, that is gone. We are going to work longer. But that can be a good thing. It means we stay useful, we stay active, we keep learning. The goal isn't to retire and rot. The goal is to have financial independence, to work because you want to, not because you have to. The demographics are inevitable. We are getting older. The bills are coming due. But poverty? Being broke? Being dependent? That is not inevitable. That is a choice. So look at the math, face the brutal facts, and then get to work. Build your fortress, protect your family, and rewrite the contract for yourself. The future is unwritten. Go write it.